Hey, hi, you're welcome to Talk with Dr. Michaels, and this is a fantastic edition. It's going to be an interesting one. But right before we start, we're going to have a big thank you, or say a big thank you to our partners, Anem, a very beautiful place here at Onirike, just beside DSTV, Ibadan, and also Owara Contemporary for bringing up this fantastic scrub outfit. One thing to note is that women are communal. Women are more communal than men. So to a man, it does not make sense. I mean, the husband just called her to be in our best in terms of sex, and then she went ahead to call her husband. It doesn't make sense. But to a woman, it makes all the sense in the world, whether it is right or wrong. That will be our number two. But number one thing is that women are more communal than men. And so women talk a lot about different aspects of their lives with their friends, regardless of whether it makes sense to us or not. And from the least important to the most important, including sex. Yes. Can the women say amen? Amen. All right. So that's number one. Then number two is that women tend to think while they talk. So when a woman is talking, she's also thinking. And that is why if a woman is talking to you, you need to pay more attention to what she's saying in terms of listening more to her. And from there, you can get to know what she's thinking in her mind. So you don't get to listen to a woman to reply her. You try to listen to her heart. There's a difference between listening and hearing. When you hear, you are paying attention to the words that come out from the mouth. But when you listen, you are paying close attention to what comes out from what is coming out from the person's heart. And those are two different things. You know that people can say something with their mouth and then mean something else in their heart. And they can say something in their heart and then say something else with their mouth. So you need to be able to listen well. And that is why we encourage singles during their pre-wedding therapy sessions, and also married people, to be sound when it comes to life skills. You can't just you can't just get up and just say you want to get married without getting trained in life skills. And that is why we also advocate that it is criminal and it is ungodly. It is wickedness of the highest order to give marriage certificates to married people on their wedding day without being trained. What's the meaning of the certificate? They are giving a certificate to people who have not been trained, who have not been formally trained. So we are currently advocating formal training for people who are about to get married, for singles, and also training and retraining for married people. So one, women are more communal than men. I don't know if you have read that book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So like the genders are different in terms of mentality, in terms of perspective, in terms of the way they approach issues. So women will talk more, and so women will talk more, and so they tend to talk about different aspects. So they think while they talk. All right, but a man does the opposite. A man talks less and thinks more. So when a man is talking, he's not thinking at that same time. He has finished the thinking process and he just wants to say what is on his mind. That is why it's very important to pay close attention to what people are saying. And so you need to be well trained in order to be able to do that. And so we keep on telling people that marriage is more than love. Love is not enough. So that's number two. Number three is there seems to be marital crisis in this marriage, because it does not make sense. Why would somebody just call, apart from women calling women, But it doesn't still really make sense, you understand? Because the friend went ahead to say, if I were to be in your husband's shoes. Now that is a giveaway. That is a pointer that particular marriage has probably been in a state of marital crisis or is in a state of marital crisis. Now, let's assume that it was in a state of marital crisis and then they are back. The friend must have been instrumental in the bringing together of the husband and wife after the marital crisis, or the friend might have been instrumental in bringing them together while they were singles and they were about getting married. Whichever way, the wife sees her friend as somebody very strategic in her marriage. I want to say this and say this very clearly. In marriage, both husband and wife have, each of them ends up having the key that can open the door to third party. The next question you will ask is, who is a third party? A third party can range from children to relatives, to friends, to colleagues, to neighbors at the same time. In fact, there's something we call hierarchy of marriage. But before we go into the hierarchy of marriage, we need to define who a third party is. So a third party is someone who has a stake in that marriage. A third party is someone who feels he or she has a stake in the success or failure of that marriage, and therefore overrides the authority of both husband and wife in order to be able to establish his or her own interest. Now, what is the hierarchy of marriage? Hierarchy of marriage starts from number 1, God, the creator, and then number 2, your spouse, and then number 3, your children, number 4, your life assignment, and then number 5, your career, your profession, your secular job, and then number 6, your family, and number 7, your friends. Now, if any of these people, for example, not friends at number 7, if you place them in number 2, then you will end up making your friends to be a third party. And like I said, you can either of them can open the door to a third party. It takes 2 people to form a bond, to form a marital bond, but it takes just one person to sink a marriage. So invariably, I'm going to talk about the hierarchy of marriage in this episode. So you can't put God as number 1 in your marriage if you don't know who your creator is, and if you don't know what his role is, and if you don't know anything about him. In my therapy sessions, I encourage people to have a standard, normalized relationship with God, their creator, before getting married and in that marriage. Number 2, you can't put your spouse as number 2 if you don't believe in your spouse. If you don't have trust in your wife or your life partner, you would not make her to be your number 2. What you would rather do is probably make your mom or a particular woman that you respect to be your number 2. Another situation, the next one is number 3, the children. If you probably your husband or your wife has messed up, a lot of couples do that. They divert the energy or the love to their children, and the children end up occupying number 2 position rather than the spouse. And then even so people can go ahead to use their life purpose to occupy number 2 just because they do not trust their spouse. Or it could even be relatives that you trust. And what I tell singles is this guy that you say you want to get married to, or this man that you are married to, you've only known him or her for like maybe upward of 10 years closely, which is not possible. Let's say 5 years closely. Probably you guys have been friends for 10 years. But imagine he or she has been with his or her family members for 20, 30, 40 years. And so he or she will initially trust. So it's going to take a lot for him or her to put aside his or her family members above you. And so you will need to earn your trust. You need to earn his or her trust during a relationship. And that's why we also tell people that they need to give enough time to their relationship before getting married. And so we propose 3 to 4 years before getting married, because that gives your partner enough time to be able to put his or her trust in you. That also gives you enough time to be able to earn your partner's trust before getting married. Marriage is not a rehearsal. Your relationship is more like a rehearsal. Marriage is the real deal. And so you don't rehearse in marriage. You carry out the issues, you carry out the steps in marriage. And so you discover that many people play thinking that marriage, they will still have enough time to be able to do whatever they want to do. And then they get married and then they discover that everything has changed. Actually, when you get married, everything changes. It's like you just crossed a line and everything changes. And you start wondering, is this the same person, the same guy that knelt down to propose to me? And so how do we go about dealing with third-party influence? Number one is to reach out to, you can prevent it even from relationship level by asking for a therapist's opinion about your relationship, or look for somebody who does not have a stake in your relationship. And then if you are married and then you still notice that there is a third-party influence in your marriage, what you need to do is to get across or book a therapy session for yourself or for both of you. Most times men don't like therapy sessions, you understand, because they feel that they can easily get things done until the ownership period, until the last period where they now see that they can't do anything again. So what we encourage couples to do is to involve a professional to help you in sorting out the issues. The professional will sort out issues objectively without having a stake in that marriage. He or she does not have a stake in that marriage. All right. So he or she will not help you to sort out help you make decisions. He or she will only put all the cards on the table, well arranged, and then guide you and empower you to be able to make the right decision, like a well-informed decision. All right. So you need to be able to know once someone's interest or someone's decision overrides your own or your partner's decision, then you know that your marriage has been exposed to third-party influence, which may end up sinking your marriage. Now, before we go, there are two things that women don't like. Number one, their husbands cheating on them, and then number two, asking them to cut off their relationship or cut off their relationship with their family members. If you want your marriage to work, if you want your marriage to be successful, you would need to reduce the attachment of your relations, your relatives, your friends to your marriage, not cut them off. Don't cut them off. I discovered that many people cut off their friends, cut off their family members because they are married. No, you don't need to cut them off, but you need to reduce their attachment to your marriage, and you need to be very careful of what you discuss with them. Once you start seeing that their decision overrides yours or your husband's decision, then you know that your marriage is already exposed and is in danger of third-party influence. So what we encourage is this, as I round off: women should become like men, and men should become like women. No, I'm not asking men to become to become exactly like women, and women to become exactly like men. No, I'm only saying that in addition to being a man, you also need to add to yourself being a woman. So you need to learn a lot from women. Being a woman will allow you to open up more and talk more and reduce the influence of third party in your marriage and relationship. And being a woman will help you to add being a man to yourself. And so you will end up not just talking about anything and everything with an outsider, with your relative, with your children. So you will be able to strike the balance.